Van Agnem was the manager then, and he would come around with a big chain with stock in the store. And he'd ring the chain to make sure that we working. But every time he come down my aisle, I'd stand up. I said, every time you come here, I'm going to stop working. I became radical then. And then he stopped shaking his chains. And when the little young guys in the neighborhood would steal something, he'd come to me first and ask me what I think. And I'd tell him, you know, I talk to them, he'd bring them, we'd go in the back, I'd talk to them, and then he'd let them go, you know. So, and again, eventually, from that store, they were training me to be, because at that time, there was no black manager of the store. And I told him about it, you know. I said, got a lot of black people shop here, you know. We need a manager. But he was training me to be a manager, not necessarily that's for that store. But at that time, I was involved with the Nation Imam at that time, and going to school at that time. I was going to school and married and working at that store all at the same time. And so what happened, when they moved me with the Nation, when they decided to send me to Monroe, I left that store. I never forget, when I went to Monroe, there was I forgot the name of the store. It was a national chain store too. So eventually, I went to get a job, a part-time job, and the man asked me, do you know anything about stocking? And they gave me the blade boy. And he looked at me and said, why you like that? So they allowed me to work there. For 3 weeks, he found out somebody told me that I was one of the Muslims. Because the Muslim had a big fight with the policeman in Monroe. And one guy named Troy, would find out he messed with a black man named Troy. That was, they changed his name later. A guy named Troy had to get out of Dodge, you know. So when I was in Monroe, a minister over there, the police would follow me every night. We'd come from the mosque, they'd follow me. But it was a common thing, because when we would sell paper, they'd follow us. You know, so he'd follow me, and when I get to my house, they would go. And one night, he stopped me and asked me, he came and talked to me, and he said, you remember the NOI? I never had a clue, but the NOI, this was in my language. You remember the NOI, right? I said, what's the NOI? He said, Nation of Islam. That's the first time that in my mind, I became conscientious of the NOI. I said, yes, I am. You know, you want to know, did I know Troy? Which I did. You know, after he questioned me and stuff, then I told him what I knew, and they stopped following me. You know, they saw I was sincere. So again, as I said, when I left there, I came here, and here we are. And a question to.
So what was the reaction from your family?
Oh, my family? My family was very disappointed. They were disappointed. My dad never did talk. He never said anything to me about it. But he would talk. He'd tell me. And my mother, I would tell my mother, say, you know how? Never? See, my mother said they had a meeting about it. And my mother said, one of my brother told me.
You wanted you to hear this? Go ahead. He wanted you to hear this. Okay,
my brother said, my mother said, oh, if she can just win $1 million, she'll fix me. She wouldn't give me none of it. And my brother told me, my mother said that, but she would never tell me that, you know. So when I changed my name, oh, they was disappointed, man.
Mine too.
You mean you changed it from Catholicism? So one of my sisters named Diane, she very vocal, and we had a meeting. Murray, you changed your name to Nasheed? Why you change your name? I said, well, what's your name? My name is Diane Keller. I said, no. What was your name before you changed your name to Diane Keller? Well, it was Alexander. I said, well, why you changed it? Because I married David. I said, well, if you can change your name for a man, how come I can't change my name for the respect for God? Boom!
That's it?
Boy, that was it. She stopped, and she never asked me a question about that again. You know, so eventually, they saw that we were serious about this. You know, they began to, just accept me. You know, because after they saw how serious we was about this. So me and the family, you know, I'm into, when they have major decision, they make sure that they call me, make sure I'm part of whatever major decision. You know, I've married some of them. I married some members of my family. I get a chance. At the family reunion, I speak at all the family reunions. I'm right now what you call the patriarch of the family. So whatever goes on as a serious matter, they call me. You know, they named a community center after my mother, but 2 months ago. Yeah, a big structure. It's a senior citizen community center, and they named it after my mother. You can go on, you can Google it, and the council of Jefferson Parish, councilman came, got a plaque and stuff from the brother who represent the state of Louisiana in the White House. They sent plaque from local and statewide, nationally.
What's the name of it?
It's named Rose Bond Alexander Senior Citizen Center. They also named a street after her. So you turn on Rose Bond Alexander Street. Yeah.
Alhamdulillah.
And they got it in big, bold, big letters. I'll show you later. Big, bold letters. You know, so it's a tribute. And the councilman who made a decision, he loved my mother because she had a broad scope of relationship with young people, middle-aged, and elder people. You know, she was a communicator. You know, she could. When I go over there, I had to read the paper before I went, because she read the paper. I knew she gave me something with the politics, what I think about this. I had to stay abreast with current events, because she watched the news and she liked baseball, football, basketball. At her age, she knew about the politics and etc. You know, she was very broad. Matter of fact, in the house, when I made Hajj, I had a picture in the house. There's a picture in my mother's house now of the Kaaba, a big picture. You go in there, she got a family picture, but on one of the walls is a picture of the Kaaba. And she told them, before she passed, don't mess with my picture, the picture of the Haram, the Kaaba in Mecca. You know. I also they got a picture of me as an altar boy in there. the transition, you know, from one to another, you know. And I'm very close knitted, tied with my family, my blood relative and the extended family. You know, we have a very good relationship. You know, so praise be to Almighty Allah.
Thank you.
And all of my children there have Muslim names. You know. Some stayed Muslim and some went other direction, but they're coming closer and closer now. I went to Dallas, Texas 2 weeks ago. My son picked me up, named Obey, to be obedient. He picked me up, and he married a Mexican girl, and he came to Juma with me, him and his friend. And the masjid I went to is in Frisco. It's called Frisco Masjid. And
it's Spanish. Frisco.
Yeah, Frisco Spanish. There must have been about 1,000 people at the Juma. And they have 3 Jumas. And they're extending the masjid, they're building the masjid to accommodate more people. And the brother gave a talk. His khutbah was on Hajj, and he talked about family. And he talked about the children and the reward and the blessings you get for looking out for your family, your parent. And I was so happy that he talked about that, give that talk. So my son called me about a week and a half ago and said, what do I think about him having somebody professional cut my grass? I said, I have no problem with it. So he got somebody professional. You know, I don't look up my grass. but he wanted to make a contribution. So they
So you
flew
don't-
us down. And he and my daughter, they seem to be competing to see which one can show more love to me and my wife.
Alhamdulillah.
I told him, when my wife wants something, all she gotta do is say it. My daughter is a physician assistant.
She's a physician?
Physician assistant. She delivered babies and stuff
Okay.
like that. And my son, he's a website builder for major corporations.
What kind of building? Website?
They build websites for different companies. Both of them, they're doing very well.
Alhamdulillah.
They're doing very well. And those two, they're generous with what they have. I'm just trying to get the rest of it to be more generous.
Alhamdulillah.
But they, I must admit, the children, they love us. And my daughters, they talk to my wife every day. When I say every day, 2 or 3 times a day. They're very close to their mother. And father too, But my wife get more gift than me, But we love the religion, and we just so happy that we made that decision to be Muslim. We made Hajj twice, 1982 and 2003. We made Hajj twice. We went to South Africa with Rafiq, and we did
World Islam.
worldwide. It was
World Islam.
the World Islam.
The last one,
Last one.
1999.
And it was a wonderful journey. We saw people like me going Hajj, people from all over the country. I might have been 70,000 people there. I don't know. But it was a wonderful occasion. I mean, man, Rafiq, he was so generous person. And I learned so much from him. We were sitting in the gathering with the other
Because he's
believers.
sitting at the Dusty Con.
Yeah, right. And we have the